Hey my dudes, it's Caitlin, and today we're going to be doing a video on how to make note-taking fun, or at least how to make note-taking bearable for those of you who hate note-taking. Before we get into the video, don't forget to follow the Instagram on the screen, and with all of that being said, let's get into how to make note-taking fun. Okay, so the plan is I'm going to be giving you guys ways to switch up your note-taking to make it more enjoyable for yourself. I absolutely love note-taking and have been compiling reasons that I do enjoy doing it. As you guys know, I take notes on an iPad, but I'm going to give tips for both paper and iPad notes in this video, so it's very inclusive, and everything like supply-wise will be linked in the description. Okay, so for all 8 tips, I'm going to give you guys specific ideas and advice. The main title of the tips are 1. Upgrade your supplies, 2. Change your method, 3. Create a good environment, 4. Make your notes neater, 5. Get creative, 6. Pace yourself. Hope you stick around for the tips and tricks that I have, and with all that being said, let's get into the tips. For those of you with the money, I recommend getting an iPad. It definitely made my note-taking experience 100 times better, made me more efficient, I can take more notes, and I just really enjoy it. For those of you taking paper notes, I recommend getting supplies that you love, notebooks, highlighters, and pens that you just absolutely adore. This will make your overall note-taking experience 10 times better if you enjoy the supplies that you're using. You definitely don't need any fancy supplies, and I'm going to give you guys a list of the stuff that I use personally. So the supplies that made my writing experience so much more enjoyable are the Papermate Inkjoy Gel 0.7 pen, Sharpie highlighters or Zebra mild liners, and then Tombow dual brush pens. These are good for titles and highlighting. All 3 of those highlighter choices will work. Just find one that you really enjoy. My favorite out of all 3 of those highlighters are probably the Tombow dual brush pens because they're really light and you can layer them, and they're not really pigmented like the Zebra mild liners. I find that the Zebra mild liners sometimes mess up my notes, so I definitely recommend the Tombow dual brush pens out of all of those. And then notebooks. If you want blank sheets, I definitely recommend the Moleskine notebooks, the big ones. I'll have them linked in the description. They're really nice for like literally anything, and they definitely could be used for school. And then if you want your notes to be neater, I recommend gridline notebooks. I personally use the 5-star gridline notebooks for school. So if you don't like note-taking at the moment, you might want to switch it up, try to find a style that makes you enjoy note-taking more. Definitely try to find a method that works for you and your learning style. For those of you with no preference, I personally use the outline method. So you have a title, then for each section you have a header, and under that you put bullet points and indent when it's information about that bullet point, and indent further if there's more information about that specific bullet point. I really suck at explaining these things, but I'm going to have some video, and I hope that that helps you guys. The outline method for me just ensures that my notes are in digestible little chunks, and I know from the indenting what the information applies to. For those of you looking to switch up your note-taking or getting more studying done with your notes, I recommend trying out the Cornell method. I personally do not use this method, but Janice Studies does, so I'll link some of her videos about it down below. With this method, which I won't be able to explain perfectly, she will definitely though, you break up your notes by asking questions on the left, answering them in the main column, and then summarizing the page at the bottom. This would be really good if you guys want to be able to use your notes to study directly from. Instead of just rereading them, you can cover up the part that you wrote, then ask the question, answer it, and check by sliding the paper down to see if you got it right. Janice Studies does this, and I'll have her video linked in the description and her channel linked in the description. She uses this method a lot, and I think that it's really cool. I haven't tried it yet, but I definitely have thought about it. For those of you who are more creative and find like artistic things therapeutic, try making your notes more like art so they're more therapeutic to you. You can do it simply by adding hand-drawn images, or you could actually take notes in a sketchbook, which I've thought about doing. I actually might end up doing it. For this, I'd recommend getting a notebook that fits the medium you want to use. I'm just going to assume you want to use markers, but if you do want to use like watercolors or something, if you want to be like super extra, then go for a watercolor notebook. When taking notes in your sketchbook, leave spaces for doodles or drawings pertaining to your lecture. This could be really fun, and I'm definitely thinking about supplementing my notes on my iPad with handwritten notes using this method. I am a pretty creative person, and I think that just drawing out the images and making the lecture notes into somewhat of an art piece would help me retain the information more, make me be more thorough with it. Whenever I make videos like this, I always stress the importance of having a good environment or a good atmosphere to do whatever you're doing. Make sure you have a comfortable area with a good atmosphere to take your notes. This will help you so much more than you know. If your surroundings inspire you, you'll feel so much better about whatever you're doing when you're there. That was a really simple one, but I think that it's a really important one. Next is to make your notes neater. So sometimes when people make their notes neater, like me, it makes you more inspired to do them. It makes you want to do them more. And I'm going to give you guys some tips today to make your notes neater. So to those of you who hate your handwriting, this may seem impossible, but it's definitely not. It isn't about changing your handwriting, but more so about how you organize what you write down. The biggest tip that I have for this is to use grid-lined paper. This will ensure that your notes stay perfectly aligned and that you can add boxes or diagrams with perfectly straight edges. So even if you think your handwriting is booty, then this will give you an intentional look to your notes. So next, I've noticed that if I split my notes into 2 columns, they appear even neater and more condensed. I recently have been doing this 2-column look, and it definitely has made my notes look 10 times neater and more organized, more thorough. It makes it look like a mini textbook, and that's sort of what I'm going for. So to do this, you literally just split your page in half and make 2 columns. Next is to pace yourself. You need to space out the time that you're taking notes so you can do it in chunks of time that are enjoyable for you. That way, when you're not feeling it, you can just take a break and pick it up the next day if you want to. As with anything, if you're forcing yourself to do it, you're not really going to enjoy it as much. So try to space out the time that you're studying and taking notes so that you have enough time to just take notes at your own pace, enjoy it, and get it done thoroughly. You also should always take breaks. I'm pretty bad at this, but there's a method called the Pomodoro method that makes sure that you space out your time and just time yourself to make sure you get a good amount of breaks in. I don't personally use this, but I've tried it before and it was really nice. So if you guys have a hard time deciding when to take breaks, look at the Pomodoro method, try it out, and see if it's for you. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you guys with all of my heart, and I will see you very, very soon in another video. Peace out, guys.